It is time for another Pokemon Crystal walkthrough and evolution. That's right, guys. Starting off this episode, we're gonna evolve Pikachu. Woohoo! Now we have a Raichu. That's gonna be hella powerful on our team. Oh man, guys, it took quite a while to raise that Pichu from an egg that we received at the daycare, but I'm certainly glad we did. After a quick stop at the Pokemon Center, let's continue on. In the last couple episodes ago, we defeated Team Rocket. They've fled the hideout. I checked. That's why I didn't go in there before all the way. But if you talk to this guy... Oh, wrong guy. I'm thinking of another guy that we're going to talk to who's going to give us a TM, but that's later on. Now, if you do recall the last episode, I said we were going to go after Team Rocket, follow up on them in Goldenrod City at the radio tower, but then I realized we had missed some parts up by Lake of Rage, and it's just too good to miss, so we're going back. Oh yes, it is a rainy day outside, not, of course, in Crystal, because weather effects never took effect. It was only until 3rd generation that happened. But it's pretty surprising. You know, you'd think in December you'd have some snow, but instead we're having torrential downpours. Very odd. I guess that's something to do with living by the shore. It stays a bit warmer than inland, and with that, probably melts some of what would be snow into water. By the way, if I didn't mention, my name's DeoGenZ, but I think you already knew that. This guy thinks it's our destiny that we match. And I think it is our destiny that we battle. It's also our destiny that we keep this battle at full speed, not overspeed. Because he's got epic Pokemon. That's why he's a cool trainer. You know, cool trainers, they always have the coolest Pokemon. He's got all the first generation starters, except they're evolved to their next stage, their middle stage. Ivysaur, Charmeleon, and Wartortle. Speaking of Charmeleon, it's interesting. The other day I was reading up on what's the most expensive Pokemon card out there. The most expensive Pokemon card that isn't a special edition, I'll get to the most expensive, but is a $125 Charizard card. And it's the first one that ever came out, the base set one. If it's first edition, that's how much it would run for. Charmeleon just brought up that thought for me. But you guys want to hear what the most expensive card was? It was a card that was only having 6 of it produced. It was for a Koro contest. And if you don't know, Koro is a Japanese magazine publication that often talks about new up-and-coming things in Pokemon. Anybody who explores Cerebi.net would know that Koro is anyone's best friend to deciphering what the future of Pokemon could turn out to be. And so they were even doing this back then, before, before the I couldn't say before the hysteria of Pokemon, because it pretty much just came out as hysteria. Everybody loved Pokemon, and then its interest sort of kind of waned, and then it's making a comeback, at least in the gaming world. But 6 of this card made for Koro, a contest for people to draw, and it was Pokemon Illustrator, $20,000. $20,000 for one card, and I think it's Pokemon Illustrator or Pikachu Illustrator. The only reason I'm not sure is because Pikachu was on the front of it. It was a holographic, and he had a pad and pen at his side. You know, kind of to symbolize, look what we do here at Koro. We're Pokemon fans just like you. So much so that we have Pikachu write our articles. And so, that's a $20,000 card. Could you imagine that? Oh man. Although I think that within the lifespan I'm going to be living, I might spend $20,000 on Pokemon memorabilia. It just might happen. Especially when I start to make serious money. I mean, it wouldn't be spent all on one card, mind you, but man, what a collectible that is. Only 6 around, too, so it's really scarcity that drives that price up. because 125 is kind of reasonable, I would think, for a first edition base set Charizard. You know, that seems about right to me. But only 6 copies? Yeah, that's going to be a high cost. Oh man, some funny things from the past videos I realized that I totally had a brain fart on was the Water Dragon dual type and thinking that there was no such combination. Kingdra and Palkia. Hello! Well, it's funny, you know, I was talking to Hollow Luigi in the car on our way to school the other day about that little slip-up, and, you know, after a couple of 600 Pokemon, they all just start to mesh together. It's really astounding that I can even remember all the names of these creatures, much less know what their general stats are going to be and how to handle them when I see them. I know obviously when I see a Kingdra I'm not going to think, oh, it's a fire type. No, I'm going to know it's Water Dragon. But just trying to recall that all from memory without even having any visual aids or cues, it can be difficult. And I guess our mother has purchased us some new goods, so that's great. I don't know if we've ever went back home in this walkthrough, but you might want to in your own walkthrough, in your own playthrough of Crystal, because some of those items that your mother buys for you, it's not just potions and ethers and things like that that you can find in your storage system anywhere at a Pokemon Center, but they're Pokemon dolls that you can decorate your room with. It was an interesting concept, and it kind of really didn't go anywhere, because, well, you don't need to go to your room all that much. I mean, the only time you'd need to go there, and not even that, really, is if you wanted to talk to your mom about changing your cache situation. Have her not save, or save, whatever the option you chose, get the opposite of that. But you could do that over the phone, so that's not even necessary. But it's pretty cool if you think about it, because it led to the idea of secret bases in the 3rd generation, which was, of course, right after 2nd, and having different types of Pokedolls decorate your secret base. I really hope they bring back the secret base. I always thought that was a cool kind of thing. And it would be even more awesome if you could set it up as kind of a battle quarters facility and have it as a Pokemon gym for yourself. This way you can go up on Wi-Fi, similar to how you have rooms in Mario Kart 7. You just set up a passcode. You have rooms for that, and you just give it to aspiring trainers who want to take your imaginary badge, and they challenge you in the gym that you decorated. I think that would be an epic concept to initiate. You know, speaking about epic concepts, just additionally talking about the memory thing, I was thinking about memory the other day, and you know, it's astounding how much I remember, how much we all remember. You know, not just saying me specifically, but how much a lifetime of memories can be stored in any size cranium. Doesn't matter if you've got a big head, small head, doesn't matter. Years and years and years, decades of ideas and memories and thoughts are all somehow congealed into one person. How does that happen? Very interesting and very stabbing question at the time to me. And it got me thinking, well, it can't be dealing with the mass of your head, because if that was the case, then nobody would be able to store that many memories. You know, it would be very, very much filled in a short amount of time. So memories must act like frequencies. They must act sort of like waves. Kind of like a Wi-Fi signal. It's out there, but you don't know it's out there until you have some sort of receiver to pick it up. And what I think is that memories could act in this very similar way, and how we all share one memory web. We're all calling to it to retrieve our own memories at times, and certain things, certain songs, or certain events might trigger different memories, like the smell of apple pie might remind you of your mom's cooking or something like that. But it's all a connector, and it's all just a leading back onto this giant web of memories. And what I think dreams might do is at night we need to reset a while, because if we don't, if we just keep going frazzled one after another and without sleep, one day after another, I mean, without sleep, our mind becomes warped, and we don't know whose memories are whose, and we start getting mixed signals. We start picking up other people's memories. And that's why dreams can probably be so crazy. I mean, of course, this is all just theoretical, because I am not a neuroscientist, and this is just kind of me on a soapbox talking about what I was pondering. But it would make sense if dreams were that, a meshing of memories, and that's why you see people you know in situations or circumstances you've never been in yourself. You know, you may be adopting someone else's memory that is also sleeping and trying to get their memory sorted out for the daytime and make sure that they stay on the same path of reality. But it's incredible when you consider that every 7 years or so, well no, every 7 years directly, our bodies completely recycle themselves. Every part in our body is replaced by new cells. Of course, this is not all at once, but by this point, you're a completely new person, yet all your memories seem to stay intact. It's very interesting, and it makes me think that there is some sort of memory web, not one that's technologically laid out like we have Wi-Fi, like I suggested, but one that exists kind of like how computers create a connection if there's multiple of them. I don't know, it's interesting, and I do wonder, you know, where do memories go, because I just keep learning more. You know, it may be ridiculous to remember over 600 Pokemon, but the more ridiculous thing is that I also remember their Japanese names from playing the White Walkthrough. I can't not remember that now. It's just so ingrained in my mind. I mean, give it some time, sure, I think I'll forget it eventually, but it's still kind of a funny thing to know. It's still a very strange thing to know, and I'm not sure how it keeps on surfacing. It's not like I study this. And we're able to switch off of thought patterns too. We're able to go on one tangent of thought or another. Because right now, I'm thinking all about Pokemon. But within 5 minutes, when I gotta go off to class, I'm gonna be thinking all about school, logic and math, and all those things that I'm taking. But it's weird. How can I access that so readily without even, well, I guess it's kind of an unconscious process, but they say 70% of the mind is unconscious. I remember learning that in psychology back in high school. They said that 70% of your mind is unconscious. Now, that may seem like a scary notion to many people, thinking, wow, we're 70% unconscious, we're 70% not awake. But really, I think that's just the background processes that keep us in that awakened state, that lucid, avid, we're here in reality now, knowing what we're knowing, and experiencing the life we're experiencing, not being confused with others. I mean, consider this. People who have trouble with their unconscious and conscious thoughts, getting them mixed together, and they don't know who they are, someone who might be clinically insane, mentally disturbed, you might say, oh, this is going to be great, this is why I'm glad Gyarados is not Water Dragon, because it's easy to take out. But I know that water dragons do exist. I'm just not going to talk about types again, that's pretty much what I'll do. Yeah, but you know, people who are clinically insane, they may be experiencing some kind of glitch in their brain's programming. I mean, obviously, yes, it's a glitch. You know, they're not functioning the way that everyone else is, and they're not being able to keep it together in society. That's definitely a glitch, no doubt. But it's a glitch in memory, perhaps. They might be reliving some other person's ideas, or somebody who is alive, they might be tuning into that thought. We don't know how the mind works, and it would be arrogant for us to suggest otherwise, that it was definitely this or definitely that. I'm not saying it's definitely this, but I'm saying it could be. It could be interesting if that was the case. If our minds just kind of connected in a wrong way up on that memory web that's invisible to us, invisible to the naked eye, but somehow our mind, our craniums, our gray matter has the receivers inside it to extract that. If your receivers are busted, you're not going to be receiving the right things. So, I don't know. Interesting things to think about. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, because I do read all the comments. I may not comment back, but I mentioned before, it's only to avoid spamming my own videos. You know what's funny? Hollow Luigi, he said that he thought Lucario was a psychic type, because I told him, you know, not only did I say water dragons don't exist, but I also said fighting steel has never existed until Cobalion, which is a complete lie, because I forgot Lucario is fighting steel. He thought he was psychic type, and it's funny, because if you never actually go check, or if you don't play the games, which, in his defense, he stopped at 3rd generation. He didn't have a DS, so he never got to experience what 4th gen types were actually like. And when you see the movie, I'm not sure if you ever saw it, but if you see the Pokemon movie that featured Lucario in it, he was talking just like the rest of the cast. I find it so humorous that every single legendary Pokemon has the capacity for telepathic communication, even if it's not a psychic type. You know, it made sense when Mewtwo said something, because telepathy, oh, it's a psychic ability. Of course he could do that. But now they have every single Pokemon in between being able to talk to the cast members in a movie. How could you tell if it wasn't psychic? Had I not known specifically from raising Lucario and fighting Lucario that it was fighting steel, I might have said, yeah, you know what, Hollow Luigi, you're right. I think it is a psychic type, because in that movie, it was talking to people. Utterly ridiculous. In here, not sure if I mentioned this before, but you can have a Magikarp fishing contest with yourself. Another piece of invisible data that you can never see is how large Magikarp actually are. That's interesting. I didn't know that Pokemon were varying sizes, but I guess that holds weight. Makes sense. Not every Pikachu is going to be identical in size. You're going to have some chubbier Pikachus, some that are slimmer, some that are smaller, chunkier, who knows. But if you go fish lots of Magikarp, bring it to that guy, you can tell which is the biggest. Now this was the guy in the gateway that I actually wanted you guys to talk to at the beginning of the episode, and he's got TM36. Originally we couldn't come through this way because it was blocked off by Team Rocket members who would only steal your money if you entered in that way, and trust me, they will steal it. They're not even going to give you the option to walk away. Once they flee the coop, after you defeat them in their own hideout in here, Mahogany Town, then you can go back to that gateway and get TM36. That guy certainly doesn't want it because it's just a bunch of bad memories to him, but to us, it is a valuable attack. So now, like I promised in the previous episode, now we will go to Goldenrod City, and we will find out what Team Rocket is up to with this radio broadcast business. But first, I brought along a Pokemon that could use Cut! No! It ran from us. Oh well. Now that's the Pokemon I need, though. Because if you recall, I was talking about in previous episodes how I used to look at areas, used to look at places where there would be boulders that are non-movable, just kind of scenery. Sort of like that headbuttable tree was. You can't move that tree, but you can headbutt it. You can't hop over it. But I always thought, if I was able to find some way to cut it or move it, or just jump over it, there would be secrets beyond the map. So that's the Pokemon I need. I need to capture Suicune so we can glitch out Crystal and jump over all the trees that I thought you could jump over in the first place. See, I'm not crazy. I'm not loony. I am logical, thinking that there's programming in no programmed areas. Anyway, let's buy some items. We're a little low on potions, and 99 would do us well. I recommend going in with lots of potions to this Team Rocket bonanza that we're about to face in Goldenrod City. Great Balls are just for my own sense of getting more Pokemon if I need it. But yes, I recommend lots of potions, perhaps some poison heals, even paralyze heals, because there is a tumult of trainers inside that tower. Sorry about that for the weird pause, but my screen just went black and I was like, oh no! Don't stop recording while I am recording. That's illegal. Aha! Suicune again! Let's pretend not to notice him and read this sign. Trainer tips! Pokemon stats vary, even within the same species, like their size. Their stats may be similar at first, however, differences will become pronounced as they grow. Damn it, Suicune! And your tree-hopping abilities! You hacksaw, come back here! Or at least lend me your powers, so I can walk over trees as well. Oh, it's the bug-catching contest today. Although we're not doing that right now, we're doing the Goldenrod City Tower of Terror. Because Team Rocket trying to control Pokemon through radio broadcasts is terrifying. And also it has to do with, I didn't even realize that, but it has to do with what we were talking about before. You know, the mind being controlled by waves and maybe a glitch in the programming making you nuts, taking in someone else's memory. That's what Team Rocket's doing. They're trying to flood the minds of Pokemon with weird signals broadcast from the radio tower so they can control them. It's really funny how that all wrapped up. Kind of looking back in on itself. Awesome. Well, I love continuity. And in the next episode, we will continue in Goldenrod City and exterminate Team Rocket.